Hey everyone, I'm Diana Davison, advocate for the falsely accused and wrongfully convicted. Now this week in Public Persecutions, sexual misconduct allegations were renewed against astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson. A few years ago, a woman started making claims that she'd been drugged and raped by Tyson back in university. Now 2 other women have added their creepy stories, and Tyson will be cooperating with an investigation by one of his employers. I'm always interested in how scientists approach the problem of fact-finding when they are the accused. Tyson has written a lengthy Facebook post, which I'll link below, and he begins with some general statements, but addresses the specific allegations in detail as well. One thing that helps Neil deGrasse Tyson's case is that he happens to know the identity of his accusers, and I want to point out that this is not always the case. One of the problems when a journalist takes on the role of police is that the request for comment before publication often does not reveal the name of the accuser. The allegations are recrafted by the journalist into point form, and the accused never gets to see the original statement or correspondence between the complainant and the journalist. Compare this to the rights granted an accused through a proper process. Though it takes months to get full disclosure, the key to defending oneself effectively is to actually be able to see the full statement. When police and journalists type up their notes, they tend to gloss over the weirder claims that were made, and they don't write down the stuff that didn't quite make sense to them. If the complainant also says that she was abducted by aliens, the journalist would likely leave that part out, maybe refuse to disclose it as a prior sexual experience that isn't relevant. In Tyson's case, the original accuser used to be an astrophysics graduate student, but she now posts videos of colored tuning forks endowed with vibrational therapeutic energy that she channels from the orbiting planets. Tyson is kind in his commentary, saying, "As a scientist, I found this odd." Well, I'd say unhinged is a better word. He also mentions how at least one journalist was shopping this allegation around until he found other women who decided to add their stories, and I find the sexual harassment allegations troubling for a different reason. One, a fellow scientist with the tattoo of the universe, was a bit creeped out when Tyson wanted to know if she'd put Pluto on her tattoo. Well, of course he wanted to know that. It's both funny and intriguing. A scientist with a solar system tattoo after we find out Pluto isn't really a planet? Well, should she have it removed? Or maybe just tattoo the word wannabe fraud under that part of the image? Inquiring minds want to know. Tyson was involved in demoting Pluto as a planet, and he put up with a lot of hate mail for his discovery. Look at this. Neil deGrasse Tyson actually made children cry. On a scale of evil, well, that's fairly high. Now, imagine Chicky Poo, who had channeled all that healing energy from Pluto, having to accept that she wasn't really healed. I imagine she did feel drugged and raped. And I imagine the tattoo lady might have been embarrassed that she got her tattoo and it had an error. I don't think anyone expects scientists to display outstanding social skills. And that brings us to the problem of Tyson having been given a female personal assistant during a film production. Now apparently this will have to stop. It is no longer safe for a man to agree to be alone with women. Tyson was made to share long days, including car rides, with a female production assistant who would later accuse him of creeping her out. And maybe he did. According to Tyson, the woman kind of creeped him out with her hugging habit. Tyson substituted a spiritual handshake that lasted 10 seconds instead. Now apparently that handshake was more intimate than a hug. So you simply can't win if you're a man, and this allegation has made it extremely clear that men cannot safely work with women. Think of all the employment opportunities that will be lost to women because this woman didn't like wine and cheese or a 10-second handshake. There will be a full investigation because, along with the advantage of knowing who his accusers are, Tyson also has an employer who can offer him the ability to clear his name. But a lot of men don't. Freelance writers, anyone who works on contract from one job to another, even people who are self-employed. You're just left out there swinging in the wind, so to speak. And the condemnation on the internet, when you try to reason with people, usually sounds something like this. Dear scientist, what do you call Pluto if it's not a planet anymore? If you make it a planet again, all the science books will be right. Do people live on Pluto? If there are people who live there, they won't exist. Why can't Pluto be a planet? If it's small, doesn't mean it doesn't have to be a planet anymore. Some people like Pluto. If it doesn't exist, then they don't have a favorite planet. Please write back, but not in cursive because I can't read in cursive. And that sounds exactly like things that we can read on the internet, written by adults. One thing I hope for our current outrage-driven world is that, like 7-year-old Taylor, we will one day be able to make an apology when it is due. Taylor says, "We are really sorry giving you mean letters saying we love Pluto but not you. I'm very sorry. It'll be okay." And I'd like to believe Taylor that it will be okay. But right now, 7-year-old Taylor seems a lot more grown up than people on the internet. Support the Lighthouse Project, links to PayPal and Patreon below.